Now then, everybody, hope you're all doing fantastically well, or you're probably doing all right after that one. Leeds United drawing at home to West Bromwich Albion. The winning streak has been stopped for now. Make sure you're liking the video, everybody. Make sure you're subscribing to the content as always. And yeah, really appreciate you stopping by for this one. A little bit of perspective, I think, needed. But listen, yeah, we're going to get into the intricacies of the game. Of course, I can see a lot of you in the chat. If you want to appear on the fan forum, then you have to become part of the Patreon, everybody. I know some of you are asking, how do I become, how can I come on? How can I have my say? Make sure you do that. Link in the description below. The second channel is also available in the description below if you fancy some other topical bits. So, yeah, let's get into it. Leeds United won, West Bromwich Albion won. Let's talk about the general synopsis just to start off with. Am I that bothered? I'm not really. Like, it can't be perfection, can it? It can't be perfection. We're going to drop a few points. I actually look at our rivals, and I think Sheffield United are probably going to go down to QPR. I have a bit of a feeling that they'll go and batter QPR. I don't know what it is. Maybe a bit of a reaction to the Leeds game. But I think it's just key that we just, keep on with the sort of mindset that these things are going to happen. You're not always going to win every single game. It's still Leeds United unbeaten. That is now, perspective-wise, the last really top team that we're going to play in this division. That's it done now. Obviously, you've got the likes of Sheffield United and Burnley having to play each other. You've got both teams still having to play Coventry City as well. I think there's a Norwich thrown in there with one of them as well. So, look, it's perspective-wise, it's not the worst thing, is it, really? It's always going to happen. You cannot be absolutely perfect at this level, and you can't be perfect when you come up, really, against a team like that. In the preview, we said it was going to be a tough game. I just didn't ever think that this was going to be an easy game for Leeds United. We've now played Coventry, Watford, Sheffield United, Sunderland, and West Bromwich Albion, and this was supposed to be our wobbly period. This was supposed to be the period where Leeds fell apart again. This was supposed to be the period where we racked up a few losses. That hasn't happened once. So if you were to say to me sort of 2 months ago, this rocky period of which we're all speaking about at the start of the season, toward the Jan and Feb period, was going to be sort of, we're going to get through it unscathed, really, and we're going to be top of the table with a 50 GD, and we're going to be at the start of play right now, 6 points ahead of the team in second, 8 points, I should say, ahead of Burnley. I'd have taken it, absolutely taken it. And you look at the general perspective as well. Burnley have lost Bashir Humphreys. I know they've lost today, and it's not all going to be attributed to Bashir Humphreys, but it's a little bit of disruption to their back line, of which is going to be a bit of a chink in their armour. Perspective-wise, again, does this now mean that Leeds are gonna sort of fall a little bit? I don't think so. I really don't think it's going to be that deep. I think what happened today was we came up against an outfit who are fifth in the division. It's not been great for them over their away period. They've not won a single game away from home, but that's extended really for West Brom. They've not beaten us. But what I will say is Tony Mowbray is a sort of a good operator. Tony Mowbray has done a better job in this season anyway than Carlos Corberán did. All the numbers have increased. You look at the stats; they're scoring more goals per game. They've got a better defensive record than what they had for Corberán. For Corberán's last, I think it was 6 to 8 games. So perspective-wise, Tony Mowbray is improving that side right now. I know it's still a little bit patchy, but on their day, when you've got the likes of Malumbi in there, you've got John Swift, you've got Dean Garnett, DK off the bench. You've still got the likes of, Callum Styles, who's a good operator at left back and central midfield if needed. You've got good technicians in there. Mikey Johnston, Tom Fellows off the bench. You've got the young lad Price, who I thought looked really good in this game. It's going to happen. And then you've got Adam Armstrong at the front, up front. So this isn't a West Bromwich Albion side, guys. We look at it and we go, oh, little meek and mild West Brom. This is a West Bromwich Albion side who are in 5th, vying for promotion, as we are as well. And they have got a good championship side. That is a good championship side. So it's no excuses from my perspective. It's not, Leeds, I think, maybe on the overall, I think that was, it was probably, if it's a boxing match, Leeds edge it, but we didn't really do that much, did we? We didn't really do that much in that game for me. I mean, I'm just going to have a quick look at the statistics actually for that game. I'm actually quite interested to see this. And we'll get into a few of your comments as well, everybody. But let's have a quick look. Leeds were way far ahead on the momentum. It's the lowest expected goals I think we've ever we've had this season, 1.02 to West Bromwich Albion 0.77. We've had 15 shots. We've had one big chance. West Brom had two big chances, obviously the one towards the end as well. But I thought Mowat played well today. And Leeds were just off it. So if we're off it and we manage to get out of there with a point against a top six side, it's not a problem, really, is it? It's not a problem. Our home run extends. It's not going to be perfect. And now we've just got to right the wrong, which is a draw. And we've got to go to Fratton Park and we've got to win, which, we've got it in our disposal. We've got it in our sort of locker and our artillery to do so. Before we get into a few of your comments, guys, I'm just going to go through a few of the bits for me as well. I'm just going to get FootMob out as well and just have a quick natter about some of these performances today for me. So obviously you've got the spread of the pitch here when we're looking at the opposition and Leeds. I actually disagree with this to start off with. Firpo, I actually think in that game in particular, I thought he started well, and naturally what you get with FootMob is you will get the players who've scored more. It happens every single time on FootMob. If you score a goal, then you get a 7, 8, 9 sometimes rating. I actually thought defensively he looked quite vulnerable today. I thought he looked very, very vulnerable at points when they were coming forward. And the thing is, it's what we were talking about in that transitional sense where, if West Brom come for us, we're going to pick them apart in the pockets. That's kind of what they did to us in that first half. I've never seen a first half, in my opinion, in at least in 2025, where Leeds have looked that shaky in between the pockets. They look really wary of Adam Armstrong, Strauchen, Rodon in particular. And yeah, that's always interesting because he's a bit of a problem, isn't he? He's always been a bit of a thorn in our arses, like Billy Sharp was for all those years with Cooper and co. Always a problem. It feels like those stocky, diminutive, quick, agile strikers are always a bit of a problem. And Adam Armstrong, it just always appears that when he's up against Leeds, he's a little bit more up for it as well, isn't he? But I thought any time Leeds were trying to build up with the back two, Armstrong was so sharp on the press, sharper than Tyrese Campbell was in the last game, sharper than Isidore was. Any time Strauchen Rodon had the ball, he was right on the touch. And at points, he was actually bouldering Joe Rodon on the floor, which I thought to myself was him just putting himself about a little bit as well. And he was giving Rodon a bit of verbals as well. So he's right up for this Adam Armstrong. It's definitely something wasn't there in terms of that transfer, but obviously the Wembley win as well for him, was probably fresh on his mind in terms of giving it to Leeds again. But just having a quick look at some of the other bits in this game as well, when we're looking at Junior Firpo just there. I didn't think Firpo had the greatest game, I'll be honest with you. I thought he looked very vulnerable at the back, but I will say as well, when it came to maybe Bogle on the other side as well, good going forward. But I don't think Mowat definitely wasn't playing left wing here. It seemed to be Johnston and Price either side of Mowat centrally. But I thought Price and Johnston were giving us a few issues at the back there, and Leeds were maybe a little bit wary. This was an interesting one in the midfield here. This lad, thought he really struggled today, which is bizarre for me to say because Al Tanaka is always like the highest rated player consistently, but I didn't think he was great today. I thought he was a little bit more reserved. I thought he was a little bit more I thought they were right on his touch, Mulumby, Mowat and Swift even. And I didn't expect that, especially with Swift, but they were right on his touch. And I thought there's a few interceptions in there when Tanaka had the ball and they were stemming his flow. They were all around him. It was like flies on you-know-what. And he wasn't really able to break the lines. The player that was breaking the lines in this game for me, for Leeds United, was the man next to him in Joe Rothwell, who was by far the better out the central midfield pairing today. We go a little bit further forward, and this is where Leeds were really poor today. I actually thought Peru was the best out of the four. Solomon, I thought at periods was cutting inside and getting a little bit of joy. But you can see, look, we're not taking a lot of these ratings for certain, but I thought Furlong was probably their best player. We didn't test him out at all. I thought how old is Furlong now? 20. I thought he was about 34, But Furlong, if you just have a quick look at his statistics here, expected assists, he should have got a second goal as well. But a few clearances in there, headed clearances, blocks, defensive action 6, recoveries 2, duels 1, 3, which is really good. Ground duels 1, 2 out of 2. I just don't think we tested him enough for don't get me wrong, a wily old defender, but this sort of three here in Swift, Furlong, and Bartley, Leeds should have got way more joy out of this for me, and we didn't enough at all. This man struggled again, and I'll say struggled again, but look at this. I mean, yeah, it's not great, is it? It's not great. Dispossessed 3 times as well. Touches in the opposition box 1. Touches 29 overall. Yeah, not great for Aronson. It's not been good for Aronson the last sort of 3 games, has it? You've had Dan Neil sort of marshalling around the pitch in that defensive midfield, centre attacking midfield role. You've then had, obviously, the last game where Vinny Souza just went around after him and bullied him out the game, where Peru had to come back in the 10 and Joseph was up top. Aronson's really struggled these last 3 games against 3 good midfields. So maybe something to keep an eye on there. James, I don't normally say this about Dan, but I actually thought it was one of Dan's worst games today. I couldn't believe he didn't bring Nonto on for James, and I'd have actually kept Solomon on for a little bit longer, and then brought Ramazani on for Solomon maybe on 80. I don't know, because Ramazani's not come back and been glowingly good, has he? But yeah, I'd have brought Ramazani on definitely for Solomon towards the 80th minute. But I thought it was probably James's worst performance maybe this season in that West Bromwich Albion game, and that's because he set his standards so high, by the way. But yeah, I just thought he was losing the ball a little bit. He was giving it away cheaply, and he had a big moment at the end there, didn't he? Huge moment at the end to win it for Leeds. And he just blazed it into the side netting. And there was a couple of times as well where Solomon played him through. And he cuts. But why does he do it, guys? Why does he do it? I've got a mate at 5-a-side who does that as well, and they'll be watching this as well. I always tell him off every time we're playing. I understand every now and again, but when you're not your strongest on your left side, Dan James will get into a position where he can strike it, get the ball out of his feet and strike it across goal with his right foot. And he did it once in that second half. But what he does as well, a lot of the time, and there's almost like a 10% success rate with Dan James in doing this. It rarely works. You saw it in the first half when he missed the post by about a yard. He cuts in on his left foot. And by cutting in on his left foot, you could argue, well, it's unpredictable, Connor. It's unpredictable him doing that. Yes, but you can also argue that he's restricting his best tendency. Because if he gets the ball out of his feet a little bit, which he normally does quite well, hits it with his right foot, that's his strongest side. When he cuts in, and even if a player sort of zooms out and carries on the trajectory of his run, and he gets past him by cutting inside, his left foot is notoriously weak. It's notoriously weak for Dan James. It's not one of his positives out of his game. And he did this 2 or 3 times in this game. He cuts in and he kills the angle. Completely kills the angle, sort of waywardly hits it with our left foot, and it's invariably blocked, or it goes over the bar or goes wide. I just think he's got to get that out of his game a little bit. Because teams will start to read it as well. And in this game in particular, and a few games recently as well, even though Dan's been unbelievable, I think a lot of the time he's really strong. He's obviously when his head's down, he's running on that right-hand side. But when he's actually on that right-hand side, utilising that right foot, he needs to, if he's not going to spend time and work on the training ground, which I'm sure he is doing on that left foot and doing that skill, I'd just sort of get it out of his game, because it doesn't really give Leeds any advantage. And there's a couple of chances in that second half, in that game, I should say, where he's just killed his angle a little bit. And I didn't really understand why. But yeah, just moving back to the ratings anyway, and just looking at our players in this one, I thought Peru was actually pretty decent today. Once again, I thought Joseph, honestly, guys, when he came on and he had that on the left-hand side, I was so angry in the ground at Sheffield United when he just hit that one over the bar. And I'm like, Joseph, come on. Leans back, smacks it over the bar. And you're thinking, Matteo, that you've got at some stage, you've got to start putting some of these in. But there, I thought that was really, really nice when he came on. Firpo plays the ball behind him. Firpo was poor, man. Firpo plays the ball behind him. He then has to drag the ball along his run with him. Goes in, beats Hegham, all ends up, and he's hit the bar. And you're thinking, what more does this lad need to do? What more does he need to do? It's just not going for him, is it? He just can't seem to find the back of the net. Hits the bar, goes out, and you're thinking, unbelievable again. Let's get into a couple more of the ratings. Yeah, Aronson, we've spoken about. Solomon, thought he had a bit of a meh game. James poor, Aronson poor, Peru I thought was the best out of the four, to be honest with you. The best out of the four. I thought he did okay today. And when he started dragging himself back into that number 10 and Aronson was going beyond him, I thought that's where Farke should have recognised that when Perot is in that number 10 and he's actually dragging himself back a lot more, a lot more often, that's when he needed to bring Joseph on. I thought he left it a little bit too late. And once again, I just thought the game today was going in that state of which it's obvious the way it's going. And look, I know we've changed it. We've changed our fortunes in the last two with the substitutions. But it was I know it sounds daft, but it's an early kickoff today. There's a bit of a hangover and a bit of an adrenaline dump from the last two games. And it just felt like it needs an injection of something. I thought Leeds looked a bit leggy today, to be honest. I thought we looked a little bit leggy. I don't think we were crap today. I just don't think I thought it was a 4 out of 10 performance. So if that's a 4 out of 10 performance and we've got a draw out of it against fifth in the league, I guess it's not a bad thing. Let's move into some of your comments anyway. Callum's given a quid to the child. Cheers, Dan. Cheers for that, Callum. Dominic's in the building, a new member. Shout out to you, buddy. Thank you so much. Let's get into a few of your comments. There's loads of you who are commenting here. I don't know how far we're going to be able to get up here. Flipping it, there's loads of you. Sujal says, poor today. But that could have been a complete banana skin, so we'll take the point. Sheffield now need 2 wins and a draw as a minimum to go past us. That's the big thing to take away. So Giles bang on the money. I'm not massively disappointed with this. I'm not like it's not one of those games, and you guys know how I am and how I can be when I'm this. I mean, if we'd have lost that game there, they were finding pockets. They were definitely finding pockets. That's you can tell in the last 3 we've played 3 of the top 5. Can't you? Let's be honest. It's not been complete performances, but we've played 3 of the top 5 and we've not lost a game. You know, you offer that to all of our rivals and they're all taking it. So, yeah, I agree. It nearly was a banana skin, but it wasn't. We've just got to recoup. Aragon says, we all need to calm down. This league is far from over and we can quickly lose our advantage. I have to stay switched on and stop being cocky. The lads look complacent out there. Have to be... That's harsh. I think that's really, really harsh, mate. No one can stop us. Champions again. Ole, ole. Leeds fans never learn. Just wait for QPR 1-0. What I will say is, Joe, if you are from the Blades side of things, what I will say, I mean, look at this. This is incredible. They're here. We draw a game. We've drawn a game. We've not gone on 100% record on there. They've still got to play with 6 points ahead of them. So, yeah, you can't win them all. You can't win them all. Of course you can't. And that's now our last top team we're up against. I think the next one's Bristol City at home. So a lot of people are annoyed in here. A lot of people are annoyed. Football is played on grass, not paper. Fancy party Millennium Square 5 years apart. Yeah, Paul, I was thinking about you there last time out, mate. Only a decent point depending on Sheffield. Man of the defeat is the problem. No subs. One set piece we can't deal with. Costas defended that properly. 1-0. Bit of a hangover. I feel early kickoffs are minging, aren't they? It just feels they're absolutely atrocious for Leeds. We can't seem to get up for the early kickoffs. And we got that early goal. The problem was we really let them back into the game, it felt like. We really, really let them back into the game. And that's credit to West Brom as well. I thought we were pressing okay at points. The press was slack, I thought, at points. But at points when we were pressing them, they got out of it really well. And what can you say to that? You know, where a player might take 2 touches. Callum Styles, for example, at left back, is a very good technical player. There was points in that first half where you'd have Malumbi play it to Styles. James would press. Styles would just play it first touch back into the midfield. And then Tanaka would have to go. And then you get Malumbi playing it to John Swift immediately. Like literally first touch or second touch. So then they'd have an advantage. That's just good technical footballers. That's playing your way out of a press. That's being press resistant. Like Leeds can enact a press as much as they want. But if you actually have good technical footballers on the other side, you can only do so much. You know, you can only do so much. You got to credit the other side as well. A draw is fair. Probably the best team to come to Ellen Road. Probably over a 90-minute spell. Probably them or Sunderland. Them or Sunderland. I'd probably say to come to Ellen Road. What has happened to Ramazani? I just didn't get on the pitch, mate. Did it? That's the thing. I do hate that rhetoric. It's always like, you know, players who haven't played. Why are they crap now? It's like, well, just there could be just the scenario that the manager doesn't want to play them. The manager doesn't want to play them. Dan says 2 shots on target, terrible. Joseph, Joseph was the big one. I actually think James was bigger at the end there, where he's through on goal. And this is what I mean, everybody. Look, we all love Dan James, but we do have our little targets to criticise, don't we? We do have our targets. You all know I'm a massive fan of Joe Rothwell, but I will criticise Joe Rothwell. I'm a massive fan of Al Tanaka, but I will criticise Al Tanaka. We have got to come on here and put our biases apart a little bit. For me, that's Dan James's probably worst game of the season, and he should have scored at the end there. But the focus will now get put on Joseph a little bit. Joseph really did. He did really well there, didn't he? If we're being brutally honest, he churned that chance out for himself, really. From the halfway line, he ran, did Hegem, and then he hit the bar with no real angle on it. James is through. Maybe twice, the Solomon chance where Solomon sort of put him through as well, and he checked back on his left foot. He's got 2 really good opportunities there to hit the back of the net, especially in his current form. I think he's got to either score or at least hit the target, which he didn't do. Come on, with 20 points instead of West Brom, we're playing at home. Pathetic. West Brom with a better passing team. We offer nothing. Their wages should go to charities. Whoa, Gary's not happy. Not happy. Kat says, with Leeds goal difference, we're 7 points clear, so no worries. But these the early kickoffs do suck. But that's what you are, being a big team. There is an advantage as well. I think there is an advantage of playing the early kickoffs. Like, we can fashion this as much as we want in an argument, but the early kickoffs also give you the opportunity to put the pressure on the opposing team. So if the opposing team is kicking off at 3 or 5:30, or even the next day, if Leeds win a game, like now, for example, Burnley haven't played. They've still got a game in hand, but we've got points on the board, right? And goal difference. That's how you got to look at it as well. What, 8 points and goal difference, I believe? So they've then got to accrue that back again at Cardiff away. Poor defending for West Bromwich Albion. Goals should never be conceding goals like that. Agreed. It was a shocking goal because, we've not really touched on that goal. The goal was just abysmal. It was abysmal. A floated ball in with no whip, no zip, no speed on it, all the way to the back post. Hegem and Furlong are just all over Bogle. No foul there, by the way, but Tanaka loses Hegem. Watch it back again. Tanaka loses Hegem. He just kind of lets him drift aside. And that's the thing with zonal marking anyway, innit? You've got 6'5" Hegem, or whatever the hell he is, on Tanaka. At one point there, you saw Aronson on Carl Bartley. No, I disagree with that, Giant. Disagree with that. All ends up. I don't think even the stats had backed that up today, mate. I think his progressive passes was. I don't think he had more than 2 or 3. Critical passes anyway. That is Rothwell and Au. I feel like take too many touches today. Slowed the ball down. Missing Ampadu today. Maybe Connor. Yeah, maybe. I don't think there's a massive. I don't think there's a massive discrepancy with him being out for this one. I don't think so. Yeah, what are you talking about here, Mucker? And just for that, mate. Just for that, fella. Joe, it's weird what a result does for people, isn't it? It's weird. And that's Mucker, who's been about for a while, I think, on this channel. He's gone. What do you know what I mean? Just don't come on and give it like that, mate. You're just getting booted out. Kev says they were very good. Still relaxed about our prospects, mate. But our attack today was as flat as a witch's tit. They played. Yeah, they did. They played well. I just look. You guys know I can come on here and be critical. You guys know that can happen. We've just beaten Cardiff 7-0, beaten Coventry 2-0, beaten Watford 4-0, beaten Sunderland 2-1, beaten Sheffield United 3-1, and now people are having like, come on, really? I mean, I'm speechless, really. I thought I'd be coming on here and just going, yeah, didn't play well, and I'm all right for subjectivity, guys. But let's not be making these grand statements of, Ampadu's missing, this, that, and the other's happening. What's going on? We're crap. Like, come on, guys. You can't win every single game at this level. You can't. We've not lost the game. There's a big likelihood we'll go to Fratton Park next week and win. Big likelihood, okay? 7 points from the last 3. Would have definitely taken that before Sunderland. Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. 13 points out of 15. Yeah, that's it. That's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. Why not bring Ramazani on at the end? I've no idea, mate. I have no idea. Like, this is the thing. It's like, because Ramazani's not played, that means Ramazani's crap because everybody believes in the manager so much. By the way, I'm not saying people think that Ramazani's crap. Let me rephrase that. Ramazani's not been good enough, okay? I think today that Daniel Farke kept James on because James has been really good in clutch moments, the big moments. Ramazani's not exactly come on and lit the place up, but there was a place for him today in that game for me. James was not good at all today, and he shouldn't have been there for the 4-1. Tango says just out the ground, complacent. Hi, Connor. Let's look at 1 point gain, not 2 drops, especially if QPR beat Sheffield United. Yeah, I can see Sheffield United winning that game, but guys, look, we all have a little bit of a laugh anyway, don't we? We all have a little bit of a laugh, but let me just show this. Let me just, we all talk about promotion, and obviously this is the big thing that's on everyone's lips, understandably. Let me just share this table. Hold on. Right, so let's have a quick look. Okay, so we're top. Okay, and obviously we played an extra game. So Sheffield, which I think they'll win. Okay, so Sheffield win. They go at what, 73? So Sheffield got a 73, 3 points behind Leeds. What's the difference between Leeds and Burnley? Still 8 points in it. They've got to go away. If they win, they get to 71. It's 5 points. Okay, 6 points with goal difference. So, yeah. I'm all right. I'm all right, to be honest with you. I think it's a good little step for us. Good little period. Blades fans seriously celebrating us gaining another point on them. Make it. Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, you got to think. I gave it to them all last week, so I knew they were going to be in the chat regardless. To be honest, that's like a Leeds loss for them. You got to think. So they're gaining some. They might gain some momentum on us, but like we say, guys, you can't think when you look at these teams that they're going to win every single game as well, because they haven't. You know, Blades have lost 4 games in 12. How many have we lost in 12? Do you know what I mean? We're still not beaten. So we can throw everything out the bathwater. We can say, it wasn't good enough. They're crap. Why are Leeds? You know, this, that, and the other. We can do that today. But which game could we have drawn then? Because for me, this is probably the game we could have drawn. I know it's home, but it's against the team who are 5th in the division. 5th in the division. Okay. So yeah, not ideal, but they are 5th in the division. Probably very, very likely to get into the playoffs and remain in that position. So if you're going to draw to a team, I'd probably rather it be a West Brom anyway, in comparison to, let's say, a Luton or right now a Middlesbrough or a Portsmouth, teams that really we should be beating. Don't get me wrong, we should be beating West Bromwich Albion, but they're a team right now who you can go, well, they look pretty decent there, actually. You know, they're probably, you know, top 4, top 5 teams in this division right now, you know, statistically and towards the back end of the season as well. So you can kind of legislate for drawing one of those games. So I've got my watch going off here. But, you know, you can legislate for that, really. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Not good today. We miss Ampadu in the middle. I mean, interestingly enough, I mean, we're having a look at this not long ago. Ampadu's barely played in the middle, mate. He's barely played in the middle. You look at this season when he's featured a lot of it, he's missed about 13 games, and the other games that Ampadu's played have been at centre-back. Look at Ampadu's record this year. He's barely played in the middle. So we've got to where we are without Ampadu in the midfield. Let's be honest. Let's have a quick look now where Ampadu's been playing when he has been featuring. Ethan Ampadu. But this was something we checked the other day, actually. No, not Ethan Wanyeri. Hold on. Ethan Ampadu. Let's have a look. But he's barely played in terms of that midfield. So, quick look. Yeah, barely played in that midfield. Championship. It's been a really bad season for Ethan, really, when it comes to injuries. Defensive midfield, start of the season. Defensive midfield, defensive midfield, defensive midfield, defensive midfield, defensive midfield. So that was... So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times in defensive midfield. 8 times in defensive midfield in 21 games all season. So the rest he's played centre back. The rest he's been injured. Ethan's been injured for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And in those games, in 15 games he's been missing, we've lost 2. So, yeah, I kind of get that in terms of experience, and he's your captain. But, yeah. Telly says, mate, too much talk of promotion and the summer window, not enough on how tough these games of the likes of Mowbray will be. Yeah, I agree, Telly. Don't get me wrong. Listen, a lot of this has been banter. I do believe it, though. I do believe we will go up. But a lot of it's just been a bit of crack as well, to be honest with you. With fellow creators. It's all fun and games. But yeah, I'm still confident we go up. Long way to go yet. We have a week to prepare and go again. But the thing is, guys, we're talking. We're talking. It's mad, isn't it? It's crazy. It's like we go again. It's not been great, but we recover and go again. It is mad, isn't it? Look at the wins that we've got. It is mad. We regroup and we go again. And you're right, but it's crazy, isn't it, to say where we are in the table, the advantage we've got, and how good we've been. Yeah. With respect, Connor, James has much more credit in the back. No, and I agree with that, Scott. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I keep saying that's the added bit to this. It's not the fact that James has been. This is the context-wise for this game. That's what I'm saying. This game, he wasn't good in that game. Good result. You cannot win every week. Leeds fans need to calm down with the hysteria over one game. 17 games unbeaten, poor performance, but a few tweaks in the starting lineup and we win again. Paul says, Blade here. Normally, I'd be all over this for Leeds, but after watching battle lines and a lot of the comments, dare I say, I'm getting to like Connor and Leeds fans a lot more. Good lad, Paul. We're not all bad over here, mate. We're not all bad over here, fella. James says, look at the bigger picture. We've got 7 points against second, fourth, and sixth place teams. Yeah, 100%, mate. Not sure that was aimed at you, Connor. Well, to be fair, even if it's aimed at the chat, mate, I'm not having that in the chat. 17 unbeaten. Mate, you'll never win with the Doom. I get it. I understand it. I understand people being a bit upset, but we just cannot win. We cannot win every single game. We can't. It's never going to happen. When has that ever been a thing in Leeds' history? And guys, if I said to you, you'll beat Sunderland, you beat Sheffield United, and then you'll draw at home to West Brom at the start of this period, you'd all take it. I'd take it. And that's me. And you all deem me the negative one. That's me. I'd be taking that all ends up. You cannot win every single game. We weren't good enough today. We weren't good enough. And still, we probably should have won it at the end, shouldn't we? We should have won it with Joseph and we should have won it with James, But what I would say is I think Largy needs minutes. I think he needs minutes because you don't get gas in the tank. You don't get elevated levels of performance if you're just frozen out. You can't do anything. I know he's not been great, but you need to integrate him back in. We know how good he is. And Nate says, contrary to Graves' poor recent showings, we had no control. Graves should have come on at half-time, seen Al and Rothwell get overran on it. Nah, not for me, Nath. Nah, I thought Rothwell was good today. I thought he was good today. What I wouldn't do is I thought Rothwell was good today. But one of the better Leeds players today. But yeah, Gruev coming on, I don't think would have added anything to us winning the game. And we were trying to win that game, weren't we? So not for me. Let's have a look. Brandsco Sports says, Connor, I said to me in January that if we get to the first of March and we're still top of the league, then we'll win the league, and look where we are. It's just the fixtures, everyone, as well. Like, look at the fixtures. That's probably the worst game we've had. That is probably the worst. Sorry, as in the most difficult game. That's the most difficult game we've got. And if you want to look at Sheffield United, if you want to look at these other teams, they've still got tough games coming up. Regardless of who I think will win, they've got to go and play in that Sheffield derby in 5 games. They're coming up against Bristol as well. It might be away from home, I'm not sure. They've got Burnley to play. They've got Coventry to play. This is all just Sheffield United. So, I mean, I'm not really looking at Sheffield United that much. I'm more looking at Burnley, So, yeah. And this is the thing, like, rotation is absolutely key, and that needs to be Daniel Farker. Obviously, he's we've all praised him. He's been brilliant, and he's got his rotation spot on. But you kind of look at players maybe like Brendan Aronson at the minute. I'd probably look at and maybe say, okay, that's probably in 3 or 4 games now where I've looked at him and gone, and then I've kind of seen Peru just move back into that 10 and Joseph come on as the front guy. And I think, when Peru went back into that 10 today, he's getting so much more of the ball. You look at the combination between him and Dan James. Peru's right next to him. He's able to feather the ball out to that left-hand side. And it just feels like Peru in that 10 with Joseph as the spearhead looks a bit stronger, dare I say. Peru just in behind and Joseph as a front line. It just feels a little bit stronger, maybe. Aronson is not the problem. The problem with Leeds losing 3 in 35 games. Yeah, look, I don't think Aronson's a problem. I think that's a bit naive to say he's a problem, but I think there's maybe a look at him right now in terms of what is the best sort of like operation in terms of that number 10. Right, guys. Well, keep your hair on anyway. We'll have a look at what happens with Sheffield United and QPR, of course. We might do something on the second channel as a little bit of a review of that game. If you fancy that, make sure you head on over there. Conor McGilligan is the second channel below. I'm going to keep an eye on whether or not to do the fan forum, but if you guys would like to do it, we are going to be doing it in and around 4:30. But guys, let us just go back. We'll regroup. We're still top of the table. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We'll have content throughout the week. See you in a bit. Cheers.